My boss sat across from me with this barely hidden, gleeful smirk. She was about to fire me for the crime of being a smoker. She told me not to worry, that they'd just hire a professional production house to finish my work. And in that moment, as my stomach sank, I saw the entire, beautiful, revenge plot unfold in my mind. I didn't argue. I didn't beg. I just smiled. Because I knew I was about to get a year's salary for doing absolutely nothing, and I was going to watch her career burn to the ground. Have you ever been underestimated? Treated unfairly by someone who held all the power? That feeling of powerlessness, that burning need for justice, it's universal. If you know that feeling, if you've ever dreamed of the perfect, karmic payback, then you are in for a treat today. Hit that like button, subscribe, and hold on tight. This is one of the most professionally satisfying revenge stories you will ever hear. Let's rewind. It was the early 2010s. YouTube was this new, wild frontier. Every company wanted in, but hardly anyone knew how it worked. I was a video content creator. A one-man band. Scriptwriter, producer, director, cameraman, editor, and, because my new employer was too cheap to pay for stock music, the composer. The job was at a university. The pay was low, about $2,200 a month. But it was a job in creative media, which was rare back then. I was excited. I saw potential. On my second day, my manager, let's call her Brenda, laid out my key performance indicators. My KPIs. She wanted 85 videos. 85. 3 to 10 minutes each. In 52 weeks. For a single person using their own equipment because the university's tech was ancient? It was a fantasy. A joke. My heart just sank. The math was impossible. That's more than one video every single week, from scratch, with zero support. I remember the feeling. The dry-mouthed panic. The cold weight in my stomach. My internal monologue was just screaming, this is insane. They have no idea what they're asking for, I tried to tell her. Gently. Professionally. Brenda, I said, this is a tremendous amount of high-quality content for one person. The process is long. And she just smiled. This placating, dismissive, encouraging smile. Oh, just give it your best try, she said, her voice all sugar and poison. If the videos are good, the quantity won't be my main focus. She assured me. She promised. And like an idiot, I believed her. I took the bait. I decided I would be the hero. I would work miracles. And I did. For a month, it was great. Brenda was sweet, supportive. I was killing myself, working 60-hour weeks, 6 days a week, but I was producing good work. The channel's views were skyrocketing. I felt like I was actually doing it. Then, she found out I was a smoker. It was so innocuous. I mentioned it in passing to a colleague. I saw her do a literal facepalm. Oh no, she whispered. Brenda hates smokers. She's gotten 2 people fired before for it. The change was immediate. It was like a switch flipped. Overnight, I went from the golden boy to the office pariah. The nitpicking began. It was a death by 1,000 paper cuts. You smell like smoke after your breaks. I'd be 5 minutes late from a break, after having just done 4 hours of unpaid overtime the night before. You weren't contactable during your lunch hour. She'd scrutinize every frame of my edits, finding problems that didn't exist. The injustice of it was a physical ache. A constant, simmering anger in my chest. I'd be editing, my hands clenched on the mouse, my jaw so tight it hurt. It's not about the work, I'd think. It's not about the videos. It's about a personal vendetta. She's trying to push me out. The disrespect was suffocating, but I soldiered on. I was determined to win her over with the quality of my work. I was so naive. 5 months in, I'd bled for this job. I'd given up my social life, my free time. I'd completed 30 videos. 30. For one person, that was a Herculean effort. The channel's growth was undeniable. Then, the summons. The director's office. I walked in, and there was Brenda. She had this look on her face, this mask of professional disappointment, but her eyes were sparkling with pure, unadulterated glee. My stomach didn't just drop, it plunged through the floor. I knew what was coming. The director was stern. "We're halfway through the year, and you're not even halfway to your target. We're very disappointed." I fought back. My voice was probably shaking. I talked about the hours, the quality, the views, the fact that I was a one-man army. I reminded her of Brenda's own words, quality over quantity. It was like talking to a brick wall. The director dismissed it all. The KPI was the KPI. 85 videos, black and white. And then Brenda, she snorted. This ugly, dismissive sound. "Don't worry," she said, oozing fake confidence. "We'll find a professional production house to finish your work." The director gave her a slightly odd look but nodded. "Yes, Brenda will get it done." And that's when it happened. The light bulb. It was so bright it was almost blinding. A professional production house. You see, part of my job was to maintain a database of every local production company. Brenda, a career academic, had no contacts in the industry. She'd have to use my list. I was fired, escorted out. It was humiliating, but underneath the shame and anger, there was a new feeling. A cold, focused determination. This wasn't over. As soon as I got home, I logged into the cloud drive for the project. I still had access, just for a few hours, probably. My heart was hammering against my ribs. This was it, my one shot. I went into the database. And I sabotaged it. Every single contact. I transposed numbers in the phone contacts. I added extra letters to email addresses. Gmail.com became gmail.com. I made them all useless. Except for one production house. The one where my friend, let's call him Mark, was a junior director. I left his company's details perfectly intact. Then I called him. My hands were actually shaking. "Mark," I said, "they're going to call you for a pitch. A huge project. And I'm going to tell you exactly how to win it." I laid out my plan. It was a thing of beauty. A win-win. His company would get a massive, six-figure contract. It would fast-track his career to a full director position. And in return, for bringing them this golden goose, they would pay me a standard industry finder's fee. 15%. I got on the phone with his general manager. I laid out the scope, 55 videos. The specific style, the themes, the tone of the university. I gave them the playbook. I told them exactly what to say, what to emphasize, what to avoid. I was their inside man. The GM didn't even hesitate. A contract was drawn up within the hour. 2 days later, just as predicted, they got the call. Brenda, desperate, scrambling through the ruined database, found the one usable contact. They went in to pitch. And according to Mark, it was like they were psychic. They understood the brand perfectly. They spoke the university's language. They knew exactly what the director wanted to hear. The director and Brenda were amazed. They signed them on the spot. And then, the invoice came. Narrator. See, Brenda, in her arrogant ignorance, had no concept of what a professional production house actually cost. She thought it would be like hiring a slightly more expensive version of me. She was wrong. A real production house has a producer, a director of photography, a gaffer, a sound person, an editor, assistants, a whole team of specialized, highly paid professionals. A single 3-minute video could cost 2 to 3 times my entire monthly salary. The project I was given a year and a half's salary to complete was about to cost them over 10 times its original budget. And I sat at home, and I waited. And every month, a check would arrive from Mark's company. My 15% finder's fee. It was beautiful. It was 15 months of my old salary. For doing nothing. For having been fired. The ultimate severance package. I put some money away. I enrolled in a respected film school overseas. And I took a vacation to Bali. I thought my story was over. I had my money. I had my revenge. I was content. I was wrong. The best part was still to come. I was on a beach in Bali, drink in hand, finally relaxed, when my phone buzzed. It was my old colleague, the one who had warned me about Brenda. "You are not going to believe this," she said, her voice buzzing with gossipy excitement. "Brenda's been fired, and the director got reamed out by the chancellor himself." I almost dropped my phone. "What? Why?" "The video project," she said. "The budget was completely blown. Apparently, Brenda was so desperate to prove she was right to fire you, so desperate to get those videos done and make herself look good, that she just started approving invoices without any sign-off. She spent over 10 times the allocated budget. The chancellor was furious. The director got in trouble for not overseeing it, and Brenda was just escorted out of the building. I sat there on that beach, the waves crashing, and I just started laughing. I laughed until I cried. It was more perfect than I could have ever planned. I hadn't just gotten revenge, I'd set a trap, and she'd walked right into it with her eyes wide open. Her own arrogance, her own desperation to cover up her mistake, it was her undoing. The image of her, being escorted out of the building she tried so hard to rule, her career in tatters, it was the most satisfying feeling I have ever experienced. It wasn't just schadenfreude, it was justice. Pure, unadulterated, karmic justice. The universe, with a little nudge from me, had balanced the scales. Sometimes, the best revenge isn't about screaming matches or dramatic confrontations. It's about patience. It's about intelligence. It's about understanding the system better than your opponent and letting them defeat themselves. Brenda wasn't fired because I sabotaged her. She was fired because she was incompetent, prejudiced, and reckless. I just gave her the rope, and she tied the noose all by herself. It taught me a valuable lesson: never underestimate the quiet, determined person in the corner. They're often the ones holding all the cards, just waiting for you to make the wrong bet. If this story of the ultimate workplace payback sent a shiver of satisfaction down your spine, then do me a huge favor. Smash that like button. Let me know in the comments, what's the most satisfying revenge, whether it's yours or someone else's, that you've ever witnessed? I read every single one. This is the kind of story we live for on this channel. The underdog coming out on top. So if you want more tales of karma, justice, and brilliant revenge, hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell so you don't miss what's coming next. Thanks for watching. Stay sharp. And remember, always be nice to the content creator. You never know who has the power to turn your entire budget into their personal severance package. See you in the next one.